We just had sushi and Derby. Ow.
Ouch.
Did you even feel that?
Yes. I don't have no feeling.
It's just
not
like
that.
he has a bad.
Especially like I was looking at him.
Right. Okay.
Scratch
So yeah, Derby
me.
just scratched Jordy's left side.
My name is Jordy.
I was gonna say Derby, and then I'm like, that doesn't seem right.
It's not.
I'm not. Yeah, the one with the Gus in my head.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we just had sushi, and it felt like.
Really nice.
Yeah, it was like, it's just so weird. I'm like, this feels so normal, just going for lunch. And then in the middle of lunch, I'm like, in 15 hours, you're getting brain surgery.
Yeah. It's really wild to think about, right?
Yeah.
Like, I just can't even believe I'm having my third brain surgery.
It's so
like,
fucked.
Like, laughable.
It's so fucked. I never thought, well, obviously never expected this, but when you had your first.
You're right. I was like, okay, like, I'm never going to, like.
This is
the only
done.
brain surgery I'll ever have. Wow.
And then
can't believe that happened to me.
13 months later.
Now I'm just like, oh, like, this is run-of-the-mill, like, normal
Isn't that
life. Getting brain surgery.
like, it just is somehow. I can understand how doctors get desensitized.
Yeah, I mean, I feel somewhat desensitized. I'm just like, yep, this is just what I have to do now.
And then people like freak out when they get like any little sort of surgery.
Yeah, I know. And I'm just
and they're like taking off the same part of your skull.
Same part. I mean, at least they know their way around.
Yeah. They're like, we're familiar.
Yeah. So just trying to enjoy a nice day outside.
I mean, it's really nice right now. I see a butterfly flying. It's like 75 degrees and sunny.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And by the time I listen to this and this comes out publicly, you will have already had your third brain surgery.
I'll be recovering. I'm recovering at my parents' house to make things a little bit simpler, because I think if I recover at home, it's going to be hard. Like, first of all, I can't lift Brody for like 6 weeks. That's already hard. But then if I like just couldn't really do much, I think it would be hard.
Well, for sure. And I think it would get him feeling more confused and asking
more questions.
But you did talk to him.
I did. Yeah. We just said, Mommy is going to the doctor. I have to spend the night, and then I'm going to get better at Grammy and Zaidi's house. And he said, okay.
Yeah.
And then, you know, he like got it. He got that Bubby was going to pick him up from school and he was going to spend the night there. And then Daddy would be home and be with him. So Hank's going to stay home with Brody on the nights because he just wants to keep things as normal.
Yeah.
I mean, we both want to just keep things as normal as possible for him. So Erica's going to spend the night with me at the hospispital.
Which is so weird just because...
we did that already.
Yeah, I'm like, been here, done that.
I
like,
know.
why are we doing this
you
again?
You already did that for me like a year ago.
Right.
I mean, more than a year ago at this point.
But I was like 4 months pregnant at the time.
Yeah.
And I remember I didn't know that the chair could go down fully.
You just like slept in it sitting upright.
But then I was like, well, I'm not supposed to sleep on a flat back. So
well, I remember that was when I told you the report, and I remember the look on your face. I was like, Erica, it says like most likely GBM, and you were like, no, it doesn't.
Yeah, because I'd done my research.
She'd already done her research, and she knew that was like worst case scenario.
I was actually looking through my phone. Oh, I can't look at it because we're recording. But I was looking through my phone at like, because I'm so stupid. I don't know why I torture myself.
I know.
When you were in the hospital, and I screenshotted what a meningioma looked like.
Yep.
And then I was comparing that against the picture you had sent, and I was like, well, like it's close to the surface. And I was FaceTiming Alex, and we were like trying to do our detective work on is it a meningioma? Because if so, like it'd probably be benign.
It's so horrible.
So horrible. And then it was like we knew that if it wasn't a meningioma, like what it could have been. So yeah, I had already done research at that point.
Yeah, the hope was that it would be like a grade 2 glioma.
Yeah.
Like that would have been like best case scenario for me probably.
Do they like find it at grade 2?
Yeah.
They do.
They do. Yeah, but no, that wasn't my situation. So here we are, third surgery for glioblastoma, which is common with this diagnosis, unfortunately.
But we were saying that you had the CAR-T and also maybe the Keytruda if you got the intervention.
Right. We don't know for sure, but I think I maybe got it because I started having seizures after I got it, and it causes inflammation, so it would make sense.
And then DC vac. So we were like, okay, you might be getting all of the things. And then you found out.
Yeah, that at UCLA they're going to be starting a trial. I mean, I don't know exactly when, but basically they're going to do like CAR T first and then a vaccine. So basically combining those two things, which is what I'm doing, right? Because I already had CAR T. So yeah, and then today, you know, I met with the surgeon and she said like she feels like she can get most, if not all of it. So these are wins.
These are wins.
These are my wins these days.
In the brain cancer world.
But, you know, like just, yeah, going into it feeling like hopeful yet cautious.
Mm-hmm.
And
maybe what I'll do is that after surgery, I'll like come on and give a little update.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. I just have to remember to do it. I'm sure you'll remember.
Well, I'll be sleeping.
Yeah, but then you'll wake up. And
I'll be like, did you do it?
Yeah, you probably will.
I know, I probably will. So, should we get into our guest?
Yes. Okay.
So, our guest today, as you'll hear in the episode, is someone we are connected to in like various ways. And what's really cool about this episode is it felt very topical for me because recently I've been thinking about what like people in the cancer world call like legacy. I don't even know what they call it. Legacy stuff. Like basically, you know, some people like write birthday cards or record videos or, you know, just like or write letters for their people like down the road when they're no longer here.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been thinking a lot about this, like because this is now my third brain surgery.
Right.
And so I've definitely been avoidant of doing it because it's sad and I didn't really know what to say. And I was like, do I make it occasion specific? I was just like, I don't know where to start with this stuff. And
it's so hard to even like think about and fathom because you think about him watching it. And then I think that puts so much pressure on, okay, what do I want him to be feeling? And how do I want him to be watching this? Like, that's such an impossible task.
It was even like, do I call myself mommy? Do I call myself mom? Like, I don't even know, like, how old he's going to be or anything, you know? So it's like, I don't know how old he's going to be when he watches this, if he watches it at all.
Right.
So, yeah, I was just being really avoidant. And then I went out we had like a little girls' day. And it was really sweet. We talk about this also in the episode, but I just wanted to share it here. That I was having a lot of like anxiety about doing the video. And so Erica and Alex were like, what if we all do the videos? Like we'll each make one for our own kids and we'll like put it in the calendar that we're going to do it and then like hold each other accountable. Like it doesn't have to be this super sad thing. It can just be like wanting to sort of remember this period of time.
Right.
And share about
So I remember actually that was my idea to do it. And then Alex had a different idea.
What was her idea?
To do a joint eulogy.
Oh my God. I forgot about that because, okay, so then we got kind of like morbid and we were like, okay, so like when two of us die, then like the last person doesn't like have
they don't get a eulogy. And they had to give two.
Which is like so
messed up.
Fucked up. So we were like, maybe we should record a joint eulogy now that we can play at the funeral in the future. This is so crazy. Anyways, so
maybe we'll cut this part out because you'll think we're insane.
We haven't done that yet.
Yeah.
But we all did our videos to our kids and they were like awkward and hard and sad. But I bring this up only to say, look for friends that are willing to do really depressing, hard, sad things with you so you don't feel alone in it because like what is a better representation of a best friend than that?
Yeah, than doing some videos. I mean, I was like, look, I think it's hard because we're putting interpretation about what this video means.
Yes.
And yet like I'm sure there are many parents out there who just like do videos for their parents but don't have meaning attached about what it's for. But anyway, Luke, our guest today in the episode, his mom died. And you'll hear the story about how making videos and all of this is connected. But he created a short film and like a week ago and it got so many views. Like
he posted it a week ago.
He made it a while ago. It got like almost 1 million views from Twitter. And it's called the Crossing Over Express. It's called the Crossing Over Express. And we don't refer to the name until the very end. Yes. So I just want to put it up there up front. We'll link to it. It's like a very emotional and lots of different emotions, actually.
Yeah. There's like some humorous moments. There's some really like heavy moments and some sad moments. He acts in it and also directed it and also wrote like the script.
Right.
I don't know what you call it. I should have asked him. I think he wrote the script. Anyway, so it was just really funny to like, the timing of it was just so perfect that it blew up overnight online because I had just finished making my video for Brody.
Yep.
And it's all this, his whole film is about like what you would want to say to someone who's died if you could have like one last conversation or tell them one last thing. And so I just was sort of laughing at the timing of it because that's been on my mind like a lot. And to see that represented in media was really cool because that's not something that most people have to think about. And it's not something that I can really talk about with a lot of people. And so it was really cool to see it represented on like a screen.
Yeah,
and
I agree with that.
Yeah, it was just grateful.
Oh, and also Luke gets emotional and you'll hear at some point he says it's a disaster.
And it was not a disaster. We like loved that he was willing to go there and like
get vulnerable.
And like look within and talk about the hard stuff that he's been through. And yeah, we just really loved having him on. And it's always fun when someone who like is in your community or in your circle, to like, these are not common topics that we talk about every day.
Right.
And so we just got to know him a lot better and understand like where his creativity comes from and just learned so much. And so we hope you enjoy this episode with Luke Barnett, and we will link the Crossing Over Express in the podcast description.
My mom died when I was 17. I only have a handful of pictures and 0 videos of her. A couple years ago on my birthday, I get a text from a number I don't recognize. It simply said, "Happy birthday," with a YouTube link. I clicked it and my heart stopped. It was my mom. I had to pull over immediately. She was telling me how proud she was of me and how she wondered what I'd become, maybe a policeman or a preacher or even a clown. I couldn't believe it. Well, it turns out that random phone number was my friend John's dad, who had found this video on an old VHS tape they made before a 1999 school event. I was 16. The experience got me thinking, what if we could have one last conversation with someone we lost? The Crossing Over Express is a short film. It's now available on X or Twitter, YouTube, and Vimeo.
Thanks for coming on here with us.
Yeah, thanks, Lou.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I was so elated when Hank texted me.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I know. I was just like, that's so nice that you
were excited to come on.
Oh my God, of course. I love you guys have done a great job with this. It's really inspiring, and I was very excited to be asked.
Oh,
that's really sweet. Well, I guess we can go into like how we even know you. There's so many like connections.
So many connections. Yeah. I guess.
I mean, the main one is your daughter is best friends with Alex's daughter.
That's right.
Yes.
That's best connection I can go off of.
But then also your sister-in-law has taken pictures for us at like every big event in our life, including the pictures for our podcast website.
Yeah, it's such a funny thing because, you know, being a little bit younger than Emily, Trisha's sister, I think Alex for a long time, it was like Megan was like part of the friend group and Alex was there, but like kind of the little sister situation. And then once everybody had kids that were about to be the same age, it became, you know, now we're all like, I'm so close to Alex in that sense that I just forget that even like 5 years ago, I barely knew Alex. It's really,
I know. Isn't
funny.
That so crazy?
Yeah.
I have one more connection, that your wife was the teacher.
Oh yeah. In Brody's toddler class.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. So crazy.
So we're very connected.
So very connected in multiple ways.
And I thought it was interesting, Luke, that you didn't mention that that you had a reason to be on the podcast. I didn't know that about you.
Me neither.
That you experienced your own type of grief in that way. Like I had no idea until a week ago.
Yeah. I mean, it's not one of those things that I think anyone, unless somebody knew me from 15 years ago or whatever it was, it's like not something that a lot of people know. So it's been a really interesting experience the last few weeks of suddenly having, a million people find out about it and share their stories and stuff. It's been overwhelming, to say the least.
I'm curious why Hank's going to hate that I just said I'm curious.
Oh.
Okay. I'm wondering, he's trying to get us to like not be therapists, but it's just in our bones.
Is I'm wondering better than I'm curious?
No, he doesn't like either of them.
Just ask the question.
Yeah. Why do you think it is that people didn't know that about you, or you weren't having conversations about the grief that you experienced when you were a teenager?
Well, I think people who know me well all kind of know it, just because it's something that you kind of quickly find out about a person, as you get to know them more. But, it's not a thing that I've ever been, or at least as of the last 10 years in adulthood, been kind of suppressing or hiding or anything. I think it's just not a topic that always comes up front and center until you can find a reason to talk about it or a way to make art out of it or whatever it is. It's like,
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that that's a terrible answer, but it's I don't have like a specific reason that
I mean,
know about.
The reason I ask is because we actually have a few friends whose parents have died, and only in doing this podcast have we learned the details and like the real story and their emotions behind going through that experience. And we've been friends with them some of them since kindergarten.
Yeah. We had no idea and it's like what that was like.
Right. It's like we knew that was part of their history, but we didn't really know what their experience was until we started this podcast and asked them to come on. And so we know that it's sort of like this taboo topic that people don't really talk about, even close friends, because they're worried about like what not to say. Like they might offend you or bring something up that feels uncomfortable. And so I think a lot of times people just skirt around it. And that's why I was really excited to see your film, because it really like tackles that head on.
Yeah. And I think to be fair to people, it's like, if there's not a reason to talk about it, it's not a thing that you're just usually kind of like, so, how did it feel? You know what I mean? It's not as much of a thing that anybody would really have a reason to bring up. And so therefore it just kind of never gets brought up. And it is because it's, for most people, such a hard topic or such a sensitive topic that I understand why even some close friends would know that it happened, but not necessarily ever feel a time to say, like, let's talk about it. It's they're probably thinking to themselves, like, why would he want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, look, can you tell us what's been happening over the past couple weeks? Can you just give a few more details about the video you made and why you made it? Like,
what are we talking about right now?
Yeah.
Well, so my mom passed away when I was 17. I was a senior in high school, or just out of high school. And, our family, just from when I moved to California when I was 21, from kind of the DC area, and just, nobody's fault that I'm blaming, but I don't have a lot of pictures of childhood. So I don't have a lot of pictures of my mom. I don't have any video of her. And Jesus. And like 4 years ago, I get a text on my birthday that just says, "Happy birthday." And it's from a number I don't know. And it just has a YouTube link.
Wow. And
I clicked it as I was at a stoplight, and my heart stopped because it was her. And it was just like,
wow,
what is happening, And I pulled over into a 7-Eleven, and it was just like this video of her kind of talking into camera, and she's talking about like she wonders what I'd become,
Wow.
She's just kind of saying she's proud of me and all this stuff, and I was like, what the fuck is happening, And eventually I kind of got myself together, and I texted the number and I said, "Who is this?" And it was my buddy John's dad, who had been like moving and searching through these old VHS tapes, and he'd found like a video that all the parents made in 1999. Wow. And he basically just like digitized it and like did all the tapes, but then like cut that out and put it out for me. And it was just like, unreal.
Oh,
sorry, I've actually
like
never like
right
told the story out loud. It's like I've typed it because of the tweet and stuff, but yeah. It was pretty crazy.
Oh my gosh, I feel really, I
I
feel
know,
really
it's like so emotional. I can't even imagine like clicking a link and then like seeing your mom who you haven't seen in so long, and like what a gift that is, and also like sort of eerie too to not know where it came from. And yeah, I just imagine there were a lot of big emotions.
Yeah, and so like for a while, like it was just this thing. It was like this gift, and I didn't think any more of it other than like being thankful that I had it and stuff. Um, and then at one point, I kind of had an idea that was like, for anybody who doesn't have any idea who I am, I'm a kind of writer, producer, actor, and so and I've made a few like low budget indies and stuff, um, and so my first instinct was like, I should do, I kind of want to do something with this. And I wrote just kind of like really fast a short that like in hindsight was as hallmarky and cheesy as it possibly gets. So I never let anybody see it. It was awful, but I just kind of like got it out. I got like this general idea. And I think even the short eventually started off as more of like a short version of that story I just told. So it was like I wrote a version of that as a short, which would be a cool little thing, but it was just kind of cheesy. And then I kind of didn't do anything with it. And then maybe a year or two went by and I went back and I was like, I kind of want to make something. I'd been itching to make something. And I thought, what if I could take this idea? Cause the video got me thinking, what if we could have kind of a last conversation that we didn't get to have? And so I kind of went with that idea instead. And it turned into kind of this little genre piece, like almost has if the Coen brothers directed a horror movie sort of like feeling to it.
Yeah.
And I basically like went out to make it, and it was right when the strikes happened. So there was like no auditions and we couldn't write anything, but we could do shorts. And so I kind of called my buddy who I write with a lot, and I said, let's just like make this thing. And because I was going to act in it, I had him kind of co-direct it with me so that somebody could be watching the monitor and help me out. And he has great perspective on things. And so we made this short, and I decided to put it out last week on Twitter, and it kind of took off. Like I basically wrote a version of that story that I just told, and then put the short up there. And I woke up the next day and it had 300,000 views and just like a ton of comments of people who were like very affected by it and telling me their stories and their relationship with death and grief and these things. And it's been kind of a wild week. Like I think we hit 1 million today, and we've had a lot of directors that I'm a big fan of and companies that I've wanted to work with all kind of reaching out about it, which is just like, who knows if anything will come of it, but it's been kind of an exciting week.
Sure. That's so exciting. And for it to be like this really meaningful, intimate, like vulnerable experience that you went through, and to have that recognized and like know that people could connect to it. I imagine that like, I don't know, I just feel like that's sort of like what we feel when we do these podcast episodes and people reach out and they're like, hey, like I can relate to that and I feel so supported listening to these conversations. It just feels good to put something out there and have other people be like, oh yeah, me too. I feel that way.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's honestly been just incredible to have the amount of people who have, I mean, we've had people make fan art, you know what I mean? Where like somebody made a poster
no way.
that where they took, there's a moment in the short where like the guy is kind of waiting to go into this truck and he sees a little girl going into it and she's holding a dog leash, and it's like a really subtle shot that you don't exactly know why she's holding this dog collar, and once you see the rest of the short, you kind of know who she was trying to have a conversation with. And people have been like so affected by that moment, and once they realized what it was, that like the amount of comments I get on that like little moment is so crazy. But somebody went and made such a legitimate poster. It's like a full-on studio movie poster that's like a little boy, like leaning down with an apple, and there's like clearly a dog under the blanket, and it's like it like crushed me. But it's just been very cool to see people so affected by it in that way, Well,
it's such a universal feeling when someone close to you dies and people go back to the last conversation, and there's regret that comes from that, and I think a lot of pain is caused from those moments. And so like you've given people something to think about that like I think is very healing.
Yeah, and it's all stems, I had the conversation that he has in the truck. I kind of had like they gave me a chance to go in, and what came out with was like this confession.
So I actually I was thinking, did you, because it was really emotional and it was like really real, and I was like, Jordy, are these tears real tears or are they actor tears? And they looked real to me, but I just wanted to know.
No, those are real. I actually it's so cheesy. I brought the video with me and just kind of like had it, and I haven't really watched it. You know what I mean? Like I've watched it maybe 3 times total. So it's like, I hadn't seen it in 2 years or a year and a half, and I kind of saved it. And like, I watched it right before. It's like so cheesy, but yeah.
Oh
no, it makes so much sense.
That's so sweet. And like Jordy, like I think is really connecting to this right now.
Yeah.
Because she made a video this week.
Yeah. Like I didn't even, before I saw your short, I've been thinking for like the last year and a half about legacy stuff, right? Like how do I, make sure that Brody knows who I am, and how do I convey my feelings about him and what I hope for him, what I want for him, how I feel about him, all those things, right? And it's like I'm in a unique position because I have more of a timeline than most people do. And so I've been giving that a lot of thought and honestly putting it off.
Yeah.
I've been very avoidant of it because I was just like, this is sad and I don't want to have to think about that, and I don't want to have to go there, and I hope he never has to watch this video.
But then I was like, we were having lunch, me, Jordy, Alex, and I said, Jordy, you've been putting this off, like just make the fucking video and then we don't have to touch it. But I was like, what would make it easier? How about like we all make a video?
Yeah.
So the 3 of us on our own time each made a video for our
Erica
kid.
scheduled it in the calendar, and we each made a video for our kiddos, and it was really hard, and like it was hard to know what to say. It felt kind of awkward and uncomfortable. And then your short came out,
like
and I was like
days later.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, I can like relate to this so deeply. Just like, what do you want someone to know, and how do you want to be remembered, and wanting to leave something behind for your kiddo. And yeah, and I'm like so glad that you have that video from your mom. Like even though I know, like even though it wasn't something that like was made for that reason, just like having a little clip, it's like a little clip of a moment in time, that like you can't get back. And I just love that exists and that we can do that.
I hate so many things to do with like technology and social media and all these things, and in a way I think all of it's ruining the world. But like, a lot of people who saw the short who are older than us, like somebody who's, let's just say, I don't know, 55 plus. I saw a lot of people on there who, because they didn't have this world where we're recording everything on our phones and we're doing all these things, there's a lot of people out there who are still alive and have no version of things like this. And so they can't remember their mom's voice or whatever it is. And it's like, those messages, made me think like, well, I'm lucky I got that, even if it's so short,
Yeah. As a parent now, I mean, I think about these kinds of things all the time. It like really can shift your perspective. And I guess I'm okay. I'm trying not to say I'm wondering, but you know what, Hank? I'm going to say I'm wondering.
He's probably listening in like, God damn it, Jordy.
He's like, make it feel conversational.
I hope he sends you like a Word doc of just notes, because
but yeah, I think becoming a parent changes your perspective on so many things. And I imagine growing up without your mom probably impacts the way that you parent and the sort of legacy that you want to leave for your own children.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. It's so hard because, I think what was hard was that I was much closer with my mom. Like my mom and I were incredibly close, and my dad and I weren't and still aren't close. Like we just don't have that relationship at all. And so, um, it just, yeah, it was hard in the sense that you grew up very fast, and it was just suddenly like, okay, now you're just basically an adult. And so I don't feel like I got like much of a transition. I mean, I was an idiot in my 20s for sure, but I also didn't have the like time period of like somebody's still kind of taking care of me and I'm a young 23-year-old idiot. It was just kind of like, cool, I'm suddenly balancing both of those things. And like for my kids, it's like, I look at what my mom was great at, which was, she was just such a person who encouraged any version of what you wanted to explore. So like we didn't have any money, but like whenever I wanted to play a sport or learn an instrument or some sort of thing, it was like we were regulars that played against sports. You know what I mean? Like I would just have the whole setup. It might be used equipment, but like I was ready to like play hockey or whatever it was. And I think that's just stayed with me for my kids. It's like I don't want to push them to do something or to like make them the next Tiger Woods or whatever, people who force their kids at 4 years old to like do this thing so they're successful, which there's something to be said about like that is how you become that Tiger Woods or whatever. But I do want to be a parent that like the minute they show any interest in something, I'm the first person that's like, great, we've got the book. You know what I mean? We've already gone to the library and like done the thing and just make sure that like, because you never know what's going to happen. It's like that they feel like their parents were as supportive and fun and happy and playful. It's like, it's so cheesy, but like, people joke about like Bandit on Louis being like the North Star as being a dad. And it's like, as silly as that is, it's like, those are the kinds of things that I do want to embrace. Like I want to be the silly dad. I want to be like the dad that the kids, look back on and feel like that was the most fun a dad could be. And obviously everyone's personalities are different and I'm an actor. And so it's like more comfortable for me to be like a zany person than it is probably for somebody who's more reserved. But in general, it's like, I want to create that energy for my kids where they look back and they think like, it was just happy. It was fun. It was, all those things.
That makes sense. Like also, but I think it like in terms of legacy, it's like we don't realize how much our relationships with our own parents can influence how we parent. And I mean, I know you as a parent very little, but it just like gives me insight into your world and how that influences how you parent and how you want them to remember you. It is really powerful. And I don't think I've even ever thought about that in my own self. So it's like not something we consciously think about.
Yeah, I don't think most people are walking around thinking about those things. Right. I am.
Yeah, I know.
But no one else really is. So I appreciate your answer. And I think it makes sense that you want to take the best of the qualities that your mom instilled in you and the things that made you feel really good and loved and supported in your childhood and provide those for your kids,
Okay, I have a sidebar question, if we can go off, because I was just curious with your mom, if she, like how she died, if you don't mind sharing, like was she struggling for a while?
It was cervical cancer, and it was pretty quick. It was like she had she had a blood clot in maybe April of 2000. That like, later they learned was cervical cancer. And she passed away the next December. Wow. And yeah, it was fast and it was, it was, this is so, cheesy and like whatever you buy into, but like when I was in the, ninth grade, I was, for whatever reason, like all my best friends were the grade above me. I think it was just between like sports, and I went to like a really tiny school where we'd all kind of known each other since we were really little, like kindergarten. And at some point throughout kind of junior high, all my best friends just became the year above me. So I was always the youngest in my friend group and all those things. And at one point, I told my mom that I wanted to skip a year to be able to graduate with all my friends. And in hindsight, don't get me wrong, this was like a bad decision because I missed out on like a year of high school, and I had a good experience in high school, so I probably should have just done it for another year. But I convinced my mom to like let me skip this year, not because I'm smart, but because we were going to do like summer school so that I could skip and basically like be with my friends the next year. But because I was such a like terrible student, she basically like did it all. She helped me do it all. So I skipped this year. And I think because I was a bit of I was incredibly involved in extracurricular activities in school, but it was like, did not care whatsoever about academics. Like I knew I was going to move to LA. I did not care at all about like what my grades were. And so like, as an example, when I was a senior in high school, I found out at one point with like 6 weeks left in the year that if I didn't do a single thing in this class again, I would get like a 72. And I just never went back to the class. Like I would go, but like I just wouldn't do any work. I just did not care at all. I was like, I'm going to pass. But it was weird because it was so important to her that I graduated. I think she had like a fear I wasn't going to graduate because I just didn't care at all. So it was so important to her that I graduate. And then she, turns out 3 years earlier, was like the one who helped me skip this year. And she got to see me graduate and then passed away. And it was like, so, for me, it was like, very serendipitous in that way.
Yeah. Oh, I'm like so glad that she got to see you graduate, and like the circumstances, like that's not a everyday normal occurrence that can happen. Like I feel like there was a reason for that.
Yeah.
I know. When I saw the video also, even I keep flopping around, but when you mentioned in the video, it was like, I think you used the words like almost non-existent budget. I was like, this is such high quality. Like it was like so amazing and impressive, and I feel like you just captured my heartstrings in it. And hearing you talk more to it, it just I feel
it gives like a full picture of like everything that went into it. And I was thinking about how in the film your mom isn't able to like speak back to you. And was that like a conscious choice that you made for like, was that important that just you were able to convey your thoughts and feelings?
Yeah. I mean, it kind of came back to like I said, right before she passed, I did get to have kind of that moment. And it was like she was in a coma at that point. And it just felt very much like a confession in that regard. And later on, I talked to some people, and it turns out that like that's a very somewhat common thing. Other people have shared this thing where, they get this sort of like final chance to say goodbye, and it turns into this like apology essentially. And so that was like kind of at least a feeling I wanted to recreate. And it's like we're developing, figuring out what an expanded version of this could be, which could involve like actually getting to have a conversation and stuff like that. But for this, at least, I really liked the idea of just like you getting the chance to like talk to them versus it being a conversation.
Well, I love also when she knocked on the truck and was like, it's not supposed to be a confession.
Yeah.
And then had to change gears.
It's also like, I think it was important when doing the short, my favorite things in terms of movies and TV and stuff are when somebody is able to kind of make something that feels like a little bit like a roller coaster. So when it's funny, it's actually funny. If it's scary, if it's going to be scary, it's actually going to be scary. If it's going to be emotional, it's going to be emotional. And I really like when it's possible to kind of break each of those things up right at the right moment. So it's like, that was really important to me, is to like have an actress like Dot Marie Jones, who I knew would just be so genuine and real, but when she says something funny, it's almost funnier because she's so earnest about it. And so she really like helped, I think, make it better, because it easily could be like a Hallmark thing where it becomes just too sappy and too whatever. But I liked the idea of it being broken up by like, whether it's the things that he's confessing are funny or it's her coming in, and it's just like, I think you needed that to break up the tension a little bit to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah. It brought a lightheartedness to like this really heavy idea and moment. And I think that it was so powerful to make that decision of not having your mom be able to converse back with you, because I remember when I was like a trainee in my not my graduate program, but like when I was learning, I was working at a therapist's office where they like specialized in grief. And I remember my supervisor saying to me, you know, just because someone isn't here doesn't mean the relationship ends. Like the relationship continues on. And I think that was a representation of that. Like that we can still have conversations and we can still make meaning of a relationship with someone, even when we can't see them or hear them anymore. And so that's sort of what it captured for me. And honestly, watching that as someone who has a terminal illness brings me hope, you know, to know that those relationships can continue on and that you can still find meaning and connection and hope with,
oh, you're gonna make me cry.
I know, with someone who isn't physically here anymore. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think, like Erica said, your film just like tugged at all the right strings and was funny in all the right ways, and it wasn't sappy or cheesy. I think it was very real, and was a great depiction of what it feels like to miss someone a lot and to really want to connect with them, and like the lengths that someone will go to do that, you know?
Yeah. Thank you for saying that.
As an artist and a creative, you probably have a lot of ideas and make a lot of things that don't end up coming to fruition or getting seen. Tell us a little bit about that experience, because I imagine that there's a lot of like rejection and, you know,
we're really switching the gears
disappointment,
on grief right now.
Yeah, but I think that that's a real thing. And then having something take off like this, I imagine a roller coaster.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing, and I've talked to enough friends that are, you know, more successful than I am to like have learned that it never really changes. It's like the best and worst part of this industry is how much of a roller coaster it is. It's like, it's one of very few, and I'm not saying this in a way that this has done this, because who knows, this could totally die on the vine right now, but it's one of the few industries where your life can change in an instant. You know, somebody could cast you in one thing that happens to turn into the bear or whatever, and your life changes. You know what I mean? And because of that, on an even smaller level, like that's obviously a life-changing thing, but on a smaller level, the wins in this business are huge. They feel huge because it's such a like dream job. It's like being, you know, it's like when you're a little kid, you're like, I want to be an astronaut or a basketball player or an actor or whatever it is. And so when you get the wins, it's incredibly exciting. And it's like, oh my God, I'm on a set right now. I'm doing a little recurring role right now on this show For All Mankind, and it all takes place right now on Mars. And so, whenever I get to work on it, which is not very often, it's the literal childhood dream. You know what I mean? I'm like on a studio lot, getting taken around in a golf cart to a soundstage. On the soundstage, they've built a spaceship, which is where my character works. And you're on it and you're like, this is the literal childhood dream. But then,
right,
so cool.
Then you have, and I'm not even exaggerating, then you have 100 auditions that you do not book. And then you have, you spend a year on a script or 6 months on a script that like everyone loves, and then nobody makes it. And you're kind of like, it's hard. It's like, it's the epitome of, it's hard to say that it's grief because it's such a like first world problem version of that, but it is real. You know what I mean?
Oh, but everything is relative.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that experience is also universal. Like you pour so much of yourself into something and invest, and there's not always a return on it. And like, it's not just it's not like you have stability in that. Like other people, this is like kind of crazy, but I specialize in working with suicidal teenagers and adults. And I honestly think the amount of rejection that you face is harder some days than the work that I do, because I'm like, there's some certainty, predictability. I understand
There's
same thing.
protocol.
Yeah, like real estate and actor, like that uncertainty and stability piece, like is so dysregulating for me. So I would experience it as pretty griefy.
Yeah, I would too. That's why I brought it up, because I think, especially as like a creative person, I feel like your heart and soul like goes into something, especially something like this, right? And this is a win right now, and I obviously hope that it stays one for you. But to create something so meaningful and to not have people recognize it, or to not to get the green light, I just feel like that would be soul crushing.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like maybe this is a bad example because I do genuinely feel like this one's about to happen, but like my favorite script that I've ever written, I wrote with my buddy Tanner, and it's like we took this tale of a mom essentially trying to protect her daughter, but we kind of like masked it in what I think is like a very original take on the zombie genre. Like, I know that it's like the zombie genre has been done every way you could imagine, but like basically like the very quick pitch is that every single zombie thing you've ever seen either takes place in the midst of a zombie apocalypse or how a zombie apocalypse started or whatever it is. And this basically takes place 1 year after the zombie apocalypse is over. And this couple, as people are trying to rebuild and come out of it and stuff, you learn that this couple, their kid had gotten bit a year before, and they've been like hiding her and protecting her. And then it comes out, and they basically have to like go on this journey with their zombie daughter, who we never really see. She's in like a box. But it really like plays this sort of like morality tale of like, they obviously know the right thing to do to stop this from happening again, but they don't want to do that to their daughter. And so it's, you know, and I love the script, and it's one of those scripts that like I've never had such a response on the script. Like every person that's read it has resonated with it, and people who are parents feel one way, people who are not parents feel a different way, which sparks for very interesting conversations. But it's hard to see this thing that like every person that reads it is like, this is amazing. And then it hasn't been made yet. I haven't seen a dollar for it yet. So it's like, you know, these things are hard. We made an indie movie, like just to say the difference in like how this experience is versus another one is like, we made an indie called Faith Based in 2020. That's kind of a like satire of the Christian film industry. And it's like very much a background. I come from that world. Like my family was very religious. And so I loved making this movie. I loved writing it. We got to do it. We got Jason Alexander and these great actors to be in it. And I'm not exaggerating when I say I would guess, you know, 10 times more people have seen this short than saw that movie. 50 times more people have been like talking about it and writing about it and stuff. And it's like, it's hard to have like a project that like costs a lot of money and everyone worked on for a year and a half and did these things, and it's like barely anybody's heard of it. And then you've got this short that we shot in one day for $4,000 that suddenly like has me in Variety. And I'm like, don't get me wrong, the one now is awesome, but like it sucks to think that we also worked really hard on that one and no one's ever seen it, you know?
Totally. Yeah, I feel like that's definitely the hard part. I mean, I'm even thinking like in my world, like my CAR T trial, right? It's like the doctors,
everyone was like, this is the thing.
And like the doctor, basically it's like his life's work, you know? And then to see it fail, I mean, obviously, yes, very high stakes, but I just think like when you put your heart and soul into something and it doesn't work out or it doesn't get the kind of response that you were anticipating, it can be like really devastating.
No, those things are like exactly the same. My stupid comedy that nobody saw.
You know, Jordy can always
find a way to make connections.
Yeah. It's like, it's the therapist in her, but also everyone always is like, well, I feel like shit now.
I know. I use the word bummer a lot, and Alex and Eric are always like, that's not the right word.
You can't say like this is a bummer that like that you moved across the country in like for 3 months. That's not a bummer. Like sometimes Jordy's just trying to relate,
I guess.
Trying to relate, trying to minimize. But you know, similar. Same.
No, I didn't get that guest star on Grey's Anatomy. We're the exact same situation.
Like, I guess the point is it happens everywhere. It's a universal experience.
Yeah, yours is just like on like a life or death. But yes.
Yeah, mine's just life or death.
But here, I will say, Luke, there are times I'll call Jordy and I'll tell her stupid shit that I'm really sad about, and she can still empathize with me.
For sure.
Yeah.
I
think
love
she
that.
likes that because it's like,
it makes me feel normal, you know?
Yeah.
No, I agree. That makes sense.
Anyway, I guess, is there anything else that would be, I don't know, helpful for us to know around the film or around your mom that we didn't ask about that would be helpful for anyone to like just get more context around?
No, I mean, it's like, it's been really gratifying to see the responses. Like, as cool as the industry stuff is, or getting a phone call from a certain person is, it's more like just hearing these stories of people who like can relate so hard to, you go to make something, whether it's a podcast or a movie or a meal, whatever it is, and you hope that it resonates. You hope that people feel from it, you know what I mean? And maybe you're making a stupid comedy and you hope that they laugh or whatever it is. But like, I think anybody who's ever made something, their goal was to make people feel. And so many times it doesn't work or whatever. And, to see this one having had that effect is just really gratifying. It's like, it's hard and it's sad because it's often for a reason that I wish that people didn't feel, like I get a lot of messages that are like, this just hit me so hard. And I'm like, and they're saying it to me like a positive thing. Like, thank you for making this piece of art. It destroyed me in the best possible way. And I'm like, I hate that happened. Like, I hate that there's a reason that this affected you so hard. But, the one thing that anyone who has ever lost somebody is going to have in common with a lot of people is that we all have. And so it's like this club that nobody wants to be a part of, but like, at least we have each other to an extent, and there will always be somebody else that can relate or you can talk to that has had a similar shared experience, even if it's not your mom or whoever it is. It's grief's a very shared experience, and it's been nice to like have that conversation with so many people over the last couple weeks.
And I think that's why. That's definitely why we created this project, and why I even asked the question in the beginning of like, why is it that this hasn't been a topic of conversation with some of the people that you're close with, right? I think I don't know why it's so taboo, because all of us are going to experience it at some point in time.
Maybe when we like introduce each other to people, we should just start off with
here's my trauma, here's my grief, right? And
let's be friends.
Yeah, here's my it
would just
list.
Be like a way to connect with people, because I feel like it can be such a lonely experience. And, like the people that you lose in your life, like, sadly, a lot of times they're like these pivotal, super important people, like your mom or your siblings, and they are such a big part of you. So to like not have that acknowledged just feels sad and isolating, I think.
I think where I was really lucky, and I think a lot of people will be, like I think about, a Brody of the world. It's like, and this is me, is like, I was so lucky that I had so many good friends and friends' families. Like I this is so, I'm gonna have to like send him this clip, but like, I will never forget my friend Ben's dad. This guy, Don Vanderhoof, who is the most just kind of quiet, blue collar, ran a, air conditioning mechanic shop, was known for having his wild turkey and Fresca. Like, that was like our high school thing. I remember Don Vanderhoof, Mr. Vanderhoof would have his wild turkey and Fresca. And like, it was just not the most obvious guy to be sensitive. And he was at that hospital the week she passed every night. And after she passed, it's like he was there every day. And it's like you have stuff like that. And then, the year after she passed, I had multiple friends' parents and families who basically like took me in. Like, I lived at my friend Justin's house probably 4 nights a week for a year. And like, those are things that I was so lucky to like have and And I think a lot of people are, but like you don't know it until something like that happens. And all of a sudden you're like,
the
oh shit,
community
I'm so lucky,
build.
you know. It's like not lucky in the sense that I wish I hadn't had to be at that house, but those are things that like the 10 years leading up to that, I never thought about had no reason to think about. I'm just like, yeah, I can, you know, I go to the Vanderhoof's house and play video games or whatever. But it wasn't until you get in a moment like that you're like, oh, these people like really care.
And I mean, it's clear that you're creating that for your children too. Like this huge community. I mean, when we went to baby play date on Sunday, I was like, there was like 17 of us. They were squished into an apartment.
Were like 9 children.
9 children. And, you know, freshly baked bread from Alex, and just like, you know, the importance of that.
Like community.
Community and friendship and family. It's just.
It really is everything.
It is everything. Well, we so appreciate you joining us.
Thanks, Luke.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that this worked out. I'm sorry that
you know what? Our goal is to get
people. We're like, when we get the tears, we're
delete it.
That's great.
That's good. I mean, but now when we see you in person, we'll give big hugs.
We'll give big hugs, and now we like learn something about you, and I don't know. I just feel like, it just helps connect on a deeper level,
I agree.
And we're just so grateful that you were willing to come on and tell the people where they can find your short film, and we will also link it in the description of this podcast.
Yeah. I guess the whole time I should have at least mentioned the name of it one time throughout the last
that's
hour.
On us.
We'll do it in the intro also.
Yeah, it's I've noticed this when you get on like movie podcasts. This happens all the time where you'll spend an hour talking about something and they're like, oh, what's the TV show called again? You're like, it's called The Crossing Over Express. Where it kind of went viral was on Twitter. It's pinned to my Twitter, but it's also up on YouTube and you know, probably most places you can find video, but it's definitely on YouTube and Twitter and The Crossing Over Express.
And where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram. So I'm Twitter at Luke Barnett and Instagram at I am Luke Barnett, because an awful right-wing pastor from a mega church got Luke Barnett before I could.
Oh, damn it.
Darn. Okay, so I am Luke Barnett on Instagram. We will link all of those things below, and we will make sure to mention The Crossing Over Express in our intro so that people
can find it
easily.
Oh my gosh.
Thanks, love you.
Luke. You guys are the best. I love you. We'll see you soon.
So, as you may have heard, there were some tears shed. I felt very emotional. I said throughout, like, oh my God, I'm going to cry. Like, I had like chills running throughout my body, and I just felt this, like, I can't even describe it, because it wasn't just like sadness. It was like stinking emotion.
Yeah. I know. That's how I felt when I was watching the short. It was just like really raw.
Yeah.
And real. And I just felt like, I loved that you asked him if his tears were real.
Do you? Yeah. I felt kind of weird asking that, but I was like, it felt so emotional. I just needed to know if it was like.
And then it was so sweet. He kept saying, like, I know it's cheesy, but like, I watched the video of my mom beforehand. I'm like, of course you did. Like, that makes so much sense. Well, you want to like channel,
like, there's so much meaning and passion. Like, I actually think it makes it better. Like, it makes it so authentic and real. And I think that's why people connected to it.
Yeah. And I just think it's so cool to see something that, like, and he said, like, he's poured his energy and his heart and soul in lots of different projects, but this one's like so personal.
Right.
So to see that so many people resonate with that, and then he gets to connect with other people who have had similar experiences. I think
like, he wasn't just thinking like, what do other people want? He was really going internal about what was this meaningful to him. I think just in life, like when we are our most authentic selves, doing things that feel good for us, that's when we can actually capture people.
Yes, I totally agree. And so it was really cool to have him on. And I hope all of you guys will like try and watch the short.
Yeah, it's 11 minutes.
Yeah, it's just 11 minutes of your day. And you know, it
was really well done.
Yeah, it was really well done. It's just like, it's humorous when you need the humor. It's emotional when you like want to feel that emotion.
I know, when he said that, I was like, this is why I'm not artistic. I just knew that I liked it, and it like
I thought about those things. Yeah, right? Isn't that so crazy?
I just like didn't, but I was like, wow, I really like this. and then I don't know why.
Right, and it's like he like strategized and like thought ahead of like when you would need those different tones. So yeah, it was really cool. And Erica, I want to check in with you.
Okay, that was a really stark difference. I was actually, before you say that, gonna say like this past week, you getting seizures has felt so normalized. Like we didn't even talk about it, and you've been getting one almost every day.
I know. I think so. Maybe it's the Keytruda. We don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna go with
maybe
that.
It's the fact I was getting them on like Sundays and Mondays, which I think was just like at the end of a long weekend.
Right.
My body's like tired, and especially this past weekend because we were at a wedding. I think I expended a lot more energy and like social energy than I had in a long time. But yeah, I just like get these seizures, and like I fully know when they're coming on. I can like feel it.
Yeah,
I
it sucks.
just fully am like in tune with that now, which is a bummer.
Yeah. Okay. Bummer's not the word we use.
Yeah.
It's
shitty.
Really shitty.
Yeah. So hopefully the seizures will subside once I have my surgery and there's less swelling and all that. I think they should for sure. I mean, I'm on a lot of anti-seizure meds, so yeah, they should subside. But yeah, I just wanted to ask you
because I feel like a melting blob.
Yeah,
there's just like a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah, I feel like you've been feeling your feels a lot.
But it's like it's interesting. I'm not like feeling I'm just feeling overwhelmed. Like there's not enough hours in the day to do the things I want to do, and it feels just like things aren't going the way I want them to go. I want you to not have brain cancer.
Yeah.
I want, like, I don't want to feel pressure. I don't know. Like, I think it's like I'm trying to do these other things, like create this course, and I'm going to come out with a certification, and it's just investing a lot of time without knowing, kind of like what Luke was saying, like how things are going to pay off. That is a very stressful place for me. I like certainty and predictability.
Totally.
So it's hard to put a lot of hours into something and your time and energy and love and like not know if it's going to flop.
How did you feel starting this podcast?
Well,
because that's basically what this was.
But this was different for me. This was
passion project.
This was like it was really purely for the process.
Yeah.
There was nothing outcome related that I really was thinking about.
Right. I guess it wasn't like tied to anything financial or like.
No, it was.
But you were still putting time and energy into something.
Yeah, but it feels good. Like this
feels fun.
Talking to you, it feels like that's the part. If we did this and I hated every conversation I had with you, I'd feel different.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I'd also feel different.
There'd be something really wrong.
Yeah.
But to me, it's completely different. Like all the other things I'm doing are to like reach people and to help others.
Yeah.
I'm not really trying to help others.
You are though.
Yeah, that's like a great
it's like a
side
byproduct.
Effect.
Yeah.
Byproduct, not a side effect. That's just like makes it feel even sweeter.
Yeah.
But that's not the motivation.
Right.
To reach others.
Right.
So I think it's just a lot of compiling things on top, and I've gotten like 3 canker sores in 3 weeks.
So we know you're stressed.
Because I hate them more than anything.
Yeah.
And, like I think it's like I'm transitioning to preschool, having 2 kids, working full time, like all of that. And then having to take a lot of time off, not having to, like getting to take time off over the past 2 months has been great. But then I've been condensing everything into days.
Yeah. You're like doing so much in a short amount of time.
Like October is going to be a time that things are starting to ease up, but then like fucking brain cancer came back in.
I know.
So the light of October, and then Ramsey's trying to find a new job, like all of those things are just like, well, that messed up my timeline.
Right.
So
now it's maybe going to be November.
Maybe November's my month,
stressful.
or like so I don't actually think it's just like life. Life is a lot.
Life is a lot. I feel like adulting is
hard.
Adulting is hard. Like it's hard when things are going well.
Right.
And then when things are not going well, it's
really hard.
Really hard because you just want to like do the best job that you can in all of your different roles.
Right.
And then when things don't go well, it's really hard to show up in all those ways.
Yeah.
And compartmentalize like these huge pieces of your life that are like stressful.
Right. Yeah, I think it's like all of the different roles and knowing that like I can't perform as well as I want to in every single role.
Yeah.
Like mom, employer, therapist, podcast host, friend, wife, daughter, sister. I can just name all these
all
roles.
the things that
That's why I have like 100 unread text messages from like a year ago.
That stresses me out.
Like I would never be that person.
Yeah.
Who would have unread messages, but I think there are messages from like, I don't know, 8 months that I haven't like opened up.
For sure.
Yeah.
I get it. I don't really text people back.
Yeah.
I'm really bad.
So if we haven't texted you back,
it's just
we're sorry.
And it's just life feels a little hard and heavy right now.
Yeah.
What are you doing to take care of yourself?
We went to lunch today.
We did. That was nice.
We're sitting outside right now.
Sitting outside. We wanted to get a massage at some point, but
yeah, but they're closed today, and then you've been having seizures.
Yeah, so I was like, I don't think I'm really up for that.
Yeah. I'll go get a massage soon. That sounds nice.
Yeah, maybe after you sleep at the hospital. You'll need one.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts?
No. I guess just want to hear from others when things are really terrible.
What do you do?
What do you do? And like, we're therapists. We know exactly what to do, but I just want to know what are people doing.
Yeah. Because maybe other people have better ideas than us. Truly.
But like this right now feels nice. Like sitting outside, feeling some winds.
But it's like, okay, this is really nice. But like the reason why it's so nice is because it's like our husbands are at the gym.
Right.
Your kids are sleeping.
Yes.
My child's at daycare.
Yeah.
Like
it's the middle of a work day.
Yeah, there's like so many things that had to like go right in order to get to this moment.
I know, it's insane.
You know?
Yeah.
But I'm glad to like have this peace and tranquility before
I
get to the hospital at 5 a.m.
I know, and then you can like be outside for a couple days.
Yeah, I can't really be outside, and it's just gonna be
It's going to be a lot. It's like you're waking up in 12 hours now.
Oh my God. I'm going to be so tired.
What time are you going to wake up?
We're going to leave at 4:40.
Okay. It's like 12 hours.
12 hours. Okay. 12-hour countdown.
What a countdown.
Yeah, I know. The things that we like make things now.
I know.
Like, okay, like Bon Voyage tumor party.
I know.
Yeah. It's like really sort of
so
insane.
Gus, get the fuck out.
Yeah, Erica's cussing out my tumor.
Get the fuck out of her brain and don't you ever come back. No one likes you.
Thanks, Erica.
You're welcome. Do you think I shrunk him?
I hope. I wish.
Yeah.
I hope.
I'm giving him side eyes.
Yeah, side eye. Well, hopefully we'll be able to give an update next week. If not, Erica will do it on my behalf as well. But we are just really grateful for you guys listening in and tuning in every week. It's been so much fun for us.
Yeah, it has.
And just like really fulfilling. Like Erica said, we didn't start this with like a super clear intention of what we were trying to do. But like as we released episodes, it became clear what we were providing. Right. And that's been really cool and fulfilling and sweet for us. So we'll see you guys next time.
See you next week. We can't turn them off?
No, because then I might get blood clots.
Okay. So anyway, we are in the hospital bed.
We're in the hospital bed right now.
In the
Erica
ICU.
Decided to stay with me, which is so nice.
It's like 36 hours post third brain surgery.
Yeah, and this time around is definitely different. I thought I knew what I was like getting into. I was wrong.
I mean, the first time we were like, holy shit, this was really like easy. Like you could walk around right after. You went home 36 hours later.
Yeah, it seemed like easy breezy.
And now it's 36 hours later.
And I can't walk.
It sounds so fucked.
I know. But like I can't. Because I can't move my leg very well.
I know.
Just my left leg though.
Thank God you're right.
And then like my left arm also. And hand.
And hand.
Also foot. Yeah, the left side is really effed up, guys. There's no like really way to sugarcoat this.
I know.
Can barely move it. Takes a lot of energy.
Okay, so here's some facts. You got a gross total resection.
Yep.
Meaning the entire tumor was removed.
Yep.
And there were some fibers in the motor, something or other. I don't know. And they knew that maybe when you woke up that you would have some temporary minor motor deficit.
Yes.
But this feels
not
pretty
minor.
Major.
Yeah, like I used to be able to walk 10,000 steps a day. And now I can't walk to the toilet.
I mean, you can't even like sit up.
I can sit up.
Oh, you can?
Yeah. My core works.
Okay, that's good.
Okay. Yeah, no, I can like move the rest of my body. It's just like my leg and my arm.
Well, I just thought like that was part of it.
Oh, no, I can move.
Okay.
That.
You just like can't use your arm to get up.
Right. No, I can't. I can't put like pressure on this arm because I can't even move it to get into a position where I can put pressure on it. Anyways, so yeah, just last time I had surgery, it was like very fine motor skills that were like a deficit, like picking up tiny objects.
Yeah.
This time it's like, you know, more like essentials to life, like walking and, you know, like lifting my child and stuff.
I know. It's really fucked up.
It just feels a little scary, but
they did an MRI afterwards and they just saw that everything like looks quote unquote normal considering you just had brain surgery. So,
yeah,
you know, perhaps the hope and the thought is that all of your motor ability will come back, but because you can't walk, you have to go inpatient rehab.
Yeah, I have to go to an inpatient rehab, which like I never even thought about that as like something that could happen.
I mean, yeah, no, me neither.
I was just like, oh, like I'll just go back to my physical therapist that I saw last time, but like they're like, we can't send you home like this.
Right.
I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. They like need me to be safe. So
I mean, yeah,
and have like more consistent care.
Like, how could you even get there?
No, I mean Hank would have to drive me. Ride Uber.
Uber, then what? You can't.
I can't walk. Excuse me, Uber driver, can you carry me?
It's really fucked up. I don't know why I'm laughing.
No, it is. That's why we're laughing.
Because
it's just comical because it's so ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous.
So if it's loud, it's because we're in a hospital. Yeah. Hospitals are always loud.
Always
lots
very
of
loud.
Beeping, compression things. So yeah, just been quite the journey.
The good news is that you're still eligible for the trial.
Definitely, yeah. And like that there was enough tumor for them to use for the vaccine. So that was good.
That's about it.
Yeah, our silver linings are just really depressing
terrible
these days. Yeah. Hopefully one day that will be different.
I know.
I hope. I really hope.
I would say I'd like to see you walking at least by Halloween.
When is that again?
That's
only a few weeks, right?
Yeah.
And that feels like a stretch.
Maybe
It's
not.
like, where am I even going to be sleeping?
Yeah, I don't know.
I sleep at this rehab, right?
Yeah, but I'm thinking like you'll spend 2 weeks there.
Okay.
I mean, I have no idea.
Right.
Like, no one's given me that number.
Right.
You just
sound confident.
I just feel confident that like in 2 weeks you'll be walking and can leave this place.
Wow.
What do you
really
think?
believe in me?
I do. What do you think?
I feel like a month.
What?
Yeah.
It's a really fucking long time.
I know. I just feel like I need a lot of help.
Really?
Yeah. Like I think there's a lot of work to do on this arm and hand situation.
A month? I don't know.
You think I'm wrong?
Yeah, I think it'd be a few weeks.
I might be overestimating.
You can also like go home if your hand isn't like working perfectly.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not expecting my hand to work perfectly. I don't really care if
Do you think you'll be there for a month?
I just like need to be able to like take care of myself.
I know.
Which means walking to the bathroom.
What about Brody?
I know. But like that's not taking care of myself. That's taking care of someone else.
No, I'm saying like to see you.
No, I know. I want to see him, but like he can't come visit me at the rehab.
Yeah.
That's going to be a weird experience.
Yeah. I know.
I just, like, I would love that, but, like, for his sake, no.
I know.
You know, it's like I don't get to be selfish in this. Like, I would love to see him as much as possible.
I know.
But that's not what's necessarily best for him. So.
It's really messed up.
I know.
Oh, I feel the bed compressing.
Okay, I also thought that earlier.
No, and my butt is going down.
Right? I don't know why that keeps happening.
There must be a compression thing, like, in your bed.
In there?
That's not your foot move. Like, my whole body.
I know, I felt that earlier today.
It must be a compression bed or something.
Interesting.
Yeah. Oh, now it's going up. Do you feel it?
Oh, yeah, I feel it. It's going up. This bed is full of surprises.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for being on this journey with me.
I told you, right. What did you call this before?
I was embarking on a journey.
Oh, yeah, this is, I mean, like.
I'm just going through it.
I really feel like this is more like a battle.
Yeah, I'm just going through it.
Embarking on a cruise ship journey.
Yeah. It just feels like, I don't know, life is just hard.
Life is really hard right now.
Yeah, it just feels really hard right now. Like, everything feels hard.
And because it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's
like,
valid, obviously, but like
even like telling your hand to move.
Yeah, like just like trying to like get my brain to like connect to my body, and it like not working just feels like such a betrayal.
I know.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm just like, what is happening?
Yeah, it's like your body's letting you down, but it's not your body's fault.
It's my brain. It's like, I mean, right, it's the tumor. It just sucks. Yeah, I don't really have any other like profound thoughts. That's my spiel.
Yeah.
But I've had like really amazing family and friend support, which has been lovely. And
Brody's been like so well taken care of.
Yeah, he's been so well taken care of. And Alex and Erica were here yesterday and just made me laugh so hard. And I needed that. You know, you just need like a good belly laugh sometimes.
Right.
And I got a good one. So much so that like my abs are a little sore.
Oh, he got you a little ab workout.
Yeah, a little ab workout. So, yeah, if anyone's wondering like why they haven't seen me or why I'm not responding to messages if somebody asks if I'm up for a visitor,
you're definitely not.
I'm just not really up for a visitor. I'm just like adjusting to this new way of living and like adjusting to this new body. And yeah, it's just hard to do when I'm around other people because I want to feel like myself and I don't right now.
Yeah. And I feel like when you say this new way of living, like I don't even, I'm like, don't even see it that way.
You know,
just like it's a
continuation.
Well, just this, I'm acceptance that this is your way of living, I guess, that you can't.
Oh, that I can't walk
the left side fully. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like definitely not great. So yeah, we're just over here feeling a lot of feelings and
we're in,
wishing for things to get easier and not be so damn hard.
So we're in a hospital bed.
Yep.
Watching some TV.
Oh yeah, we are. We're watching Nobody Wants This. Great show. Super cute.
Super cute.
If you want something that's lighthearted and like to get your mind off of something really fucking depressing,
yeah,
go for it.
There we go.
Adam Brody, Teenage Dream.
All right, that's it.
That's all we got for you.
Thanks so much for listening to Grief Street. We put out new episodes every Monday. If you'd like to support us, give us a follow on Instagram and TikTok. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel to find the video version of our episodes. Please subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts and give us a 5-star review. We would love to hear from you and get some feedback. If you'd like to contact us, please email griefstreetpodcast@gmail.com or leave us a voicemail at 508-474-3378. That's 508-GRIEFST. Our theme song is Hepcat Jive, courtesy of purpleplanet.com. We'll see you next time.